My mom, I grew up in Detroit, and my mom went to University of Michigan, and she would drive us up there probably like 3 times a year, and she'd drive us by all the buildings and all the dorms, and she'd be like, well, this is where you're gonna live, and this is where the medical school is, and you're eventually, I was like raised to be a doctor, and I was pre-med, so I was on that course.
So did you go to college?
I did. I went to Michigan. I ended up going to Michigan. Yeah.
Big Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my brother went there, I went there. That was like my mom's whole plan was for us to go there, and we did. And I was pre-med, and then I decided I didn't want to be a doctor.
So how'd she take that?
Not well. She still is. She's still trying to wrap her head around it. She's fuming.
Really? How long ago was this?
A very long time ago.
And she's still fuming about it. She's
still like, anytime, things aren't going well, my mom's like, you can always go back to medical school. And I'm like, no.
What type of medical field would you be in?
I wanted to be either a dermatologist or a child psychiatrist.
Okay. And what's your mom?
She's hem-onc internal medicine.
What is that?
Hematology, oncology, internal medicine. It's blood, cancer, and just general medicine.
Okay. Yeah. So you dropped out of college?
No, I didn't drop out.
Okay.
I finished college, but I took all my pre-med classes, but then I didn't go through with being a doctor.
Because you wanted to be a comedian?
No, I was an art history major, and I was like, oh, I'm going to work in a museum. And I moved to LA because one of my graduate student instructors worked at the Getty Museum. And I was like, oh, well, Lisa's there. Lisa can, help me get a job there. So I applied for jobs at the Getty, didn't get anything. Applied for jobs at all the other museums, didn't get anything. Worked at an art gallery for 2 weeks, got fired. Worked at a restaurant. Why'd you get fired? The guy was just a dick. And I was just a, fresh out of college, stick up my ass kid. Thought I knew everything. So we just really butted heads. And then I worked in a restaurant where I was a hostess, a really nice restaurant called Josie. It no longer exists. It was in Santa Monica. Got fired from there because I corrected the English of Josie.
Oh. The actual owner.
The actual owner, yeah. She said something, and she was reading a letter that somebody had sent in criticizing the service they had received there. This was, Yelp.
When people wrote letters.
This is when people wrote letters to complain, and she was criticizing their English, and she was like, "Listen, he doesn't even know how to speak English." I was like, "Actually, he's right." And she's like, all right, little Miss English major. And I was like, actually, I was an art history major. So,
you were, yeah.
The next day I was asked to not come back. So, anywho, and then I worked in, fashion. I got a job doing cold calls for this company in, a denim production company, in, South Central.
Okay, what's these cold? Okay, I'm a person. Cold called me. How would it go?
So cold calling, I had to figure out what jeans were sold at a clothing store. So you'd be the clothing store. You can't just call up and be like, hey, what jeans do you sell? Because they'll know you're someone trying to get information. So I had to be like, so I would be calling stores all over the country. So
really?
I would make up stories. So my stories would go like this. So I would be like,
hello.
Ring, ring. Hi, I know this is going to sound crazy, but my mom is there right now. And I was just talking to her and she's saying how she has nothing cute to wear. And I was like, don't you worry, Mom. I'm like, I will find you something. So I just found a list of stores. I saw your store. Like, what kind of clothes do you have? Can I send her there? She's kind of cute, fun, hip mom. I want some like jeans. Do you have any cute tops? Like, what brands do you have?
And they would tell you everything they have in the store.
Yeah. And then sometimes they would get really elaborate.
What would that do for your company, though?
So then I would get the name of all the brands that they carry. So based on knowing all of the brands that they carry, then they would create a sales strategy for that region. I called thousands of stores. Wow. So this was before, and then all of the information I gathered, the CEO of the company then sold it to the CFO, actually sold it to a list company, because you make lists and then you can sell it. Information is valuable. So,
and this was before the internet then.
The internet was around, but it wasn't as robust as it is now. Like, you could go onto websites and like get some information, but it wasn't like this crazy. Like, I was calling like small town USA. Like, I had to call the South. And sometimes I'd call the South and I'd be like, hi, I know this is going to sound insane, but I'm looking for something right now and I just don't know what. I'm like, I heard about these jeans called Citizens of Humanity. I was wondering if you have anything like that. They are so cute. Oh my gosh. I can't fit anything. I just had a baby. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And people will leave you information. And the CFO of the company heard me doing my cold calls. And he was like, you are an incredible liar. And I was like, thanks so much. I think he's like, no, he's like, he's like, you literally could get information from people would have given you the world on the phone. I was like, totally. And then he was like, do you want to be my assistant? I was like, are you going to put me on salary and give me benefits? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool.
And how long that last?
And I was there for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And then within a year, I worked my way up to the head of international sales and marketing for the company.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got to travel around the world. It was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to get to where you started comedy.
I started comedy. So from fashion, I was in fashion and marketing and all of that for about 6 years, maybe. And then I worked in advertising for a little bit, doing like social media marketing, nothing crazy. But then one of my best friends from childhood killed herself, and it was kind of this wake up moment for me of like, life is short, follow your dreams. So I started, thinking about, because I had done improv over the years just for fun, because IO West was in LA, and I was like, oh, improv classes are great. Like, I love comedy. It kind of like fed that creative side of my brain. Because I had taken acting classes in college and really liked it. And I was always, I always fancied myself like an entertainer.
Yeah.
And then I got laid off from my advertising job. And a friend of mine who I went to college with, he worked at HBO, and he was in the comedy department there. And he's like, why don't you just try stand-up comedy? And I was like, okay. So I took a stand-up writing class.
Where'd you take that at?
It was called Judy Carter.
Oh, wait. Was that at the Improv or the Laugh Factory?
Yeah, it was at the Improv.
Improv. Okay, I've heard of that. I never took it, but I know a lot of people have.
So I took it thinking like, oh, this will just be like, it'll help like kickstart my brain, And it's like, I'd watched a lot of stand-up comedy at that point, but I didn't understand like premise and like tags and all of that. So it kind of gave me this like formal language of stand-up. So I did that. And then I did a few shows, and then like, it's like, it never really like kicked off.
Yeah.
But I liked it, but I didn't work that hard at it. And it probably took me about 2 years for me to like really get into it. And then I got super
How long have you been doing it now?
First time I got on stage was in 2010.
Okay.
So 11 plus years.
So is your mom hating that you're just a stand-up comedian now?
Yeah, I mean, she's not, my mom would love for me to be just like married to a Jewish doctor. Like, my mom's aspirations for me went from you should be a doctor to just marry a Jewish doctor and have someone take care of you for the love of God. And that's truly, I think, most Jewish moms' dreams for their daughters is just to marry a Jewish doctor.